Tonight on Politics Unplugged, the primary elections have come and gone. Who won, who lost, and what are the key matchups to watch in the fall? The panel is putting in the extra work to break it all down now on Politics Unplugged.
And good evening, I'm political editor Dennis Welch, and this is Politics Unplugged, and the primary is in the books, and the matchups are set for the general election in November. So let's take a look at the races that were settled this week.
We start at the top. Governor Katie Hobbs will face Republican Congressman Andy Biggs in the fall. The fact Biggs won his primary was no surprise, but the margin of victory definitely was. He beat his main rival, Congressman David Schweikert, by roughly 60 points. Current Senate President Warren Peterson survived a barrage of negative attack ads to win the Republican nomination for Attorney General. He will now take on Democratic incumbent Chris Mays, who ran unopposed. In the Secretary of State's race, Republican lawmaker Alexander Colladin defeated the former leader of his own party, Gina Swoboda. He will now try to unseat the incumbent Democrat, Adrian Fontes. And finally, Arizona's first congressional district gave us the most random storyline of the week. Former NFL kicker Jay Feely won his Republican primary and will now challenge Democrat Amish Shaw. It's a reunion of sorts because Feely played for the New York Jets when Shaw was the team's doctor.
All right, then we're bringing in the panel now to talk about all of those races in the primaries and look back and how they all shook out. And with us today is Republican Amy Malera and Democrat Adam Kinsey. I want to thank you both here for joining us here today. Whole lot to talk about. I want to start. We're going to be looking at the general election matchups here later in this show, but I do want to start with a quick look back. Now, any big surprises? Any other big races stand out for you, Amy?
Not a lot of big surprises. I think it certainly had a very strong turning point presence in the Republican primary. Now, whether that continues into the general, I doubt it. But certainly in the Republican primary, their support of certain candidates made a huge difference if you look up and down the ticket. I think one of the things that kind of surprised me a little bit was but it was on the Democrat side, it was the Amish Shaw, Marlene Garland race, and how ugly that turned. I mean, the DCCC really came after one of their own in a very harsh way, and I was surprised that the vitriol that was thrown into it.
Yeah, and we'll get into a little bit of that because that was a really weird one with the D-Trips getting involved in that one. Any big surprises stand out for you?
I think the overall Democratic performance versus Republican performance, as a percentage, Democrats did incredibly well and Republicans have to be a little bit nervous. There are 310,000 more Republicans than Democrats in the state of Arizona, so obviously they had more voters turn out, but as a percentage, Democrats are actually winning the turnout race by about 3 points. Typically, Republicans win primary turnout 5 to 10 points. Even in 2022, Republicans performed better than Democrats in the primary. So if I were a Republican, I'd be hitting the panic button right about now because the enthusiasm seems to be all on one side.
Yeah, and the significance of that is, and I mean, would you be worried about that? Because the top three Democratic candidates running unopposed. There was getting a free pass this time around, yet Democrats were really coming out in good numbers.
No, I would agree. I think that the key for the Republicans is to create a message that gets their base enthused to come out and vote. Now, whether that happens or not, with all the national issues that are happening, that's still an unknown. But I think, particularly with Congressman Biggs in the governor's race, they really have to try and distance themselves if they can. I know the governor's going to tie Trump to his hip and make sure he stays there for the rest of the campaign. But I think Congressman Biggs really needs to talk about the things that Arizonans want to talk about and also gets Republicans fired up to come out and vote for him.
Therein lies the problem. Are you going to fire up your base or are you going to go after the moderate middle? Because those are two very different messages. Andy Biggs is very good, as is all the Turning Point slate, very good at the firing up the base part, not so much about getting those moderate middle votes.
But I mean, it did seem for Turning Point USA, at least with this primary, it was a good reset for them because a lot was made of their failures with that SRP election a few months ago.
Hey, I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. Turning Point is the Democratic Party's biggest supporter right now because they are Same thing that happened 4 years ago. Secretary of State's an election denier. Attorney General candidate doesn't have much, if any, courtroom experience, and a far right-wing ideologue running against a centrist moderate Democrat. This is the exact same slate they ran 4 years ago, and we know how that turned out.
And that was one of the trends that kind of emerged from this. I mean, particularly, too, you even look at the national coverage when they started looking at particularly Republican trends. These were all people obviously endorsed by Trump. The Trump candidates did very well. No big surprises there, but you had Andy Biggs. Remember, he voted against certification of the Arizona electoral votes back after the 2020 election. You know, Alexander Culloden, who was behind some election lawsuits after that race that were tossed out of court. And you had Warren Peterson, Senate President there, who's complied with FBI warrants recently and handed over a lot of documentation from the cyber ninja audit of the Maricopa County 2020 elections. Is this a good thing for the Republican Party?
Well, if they keep talking about it, no, it's not going to be a good thing. I would agree that if they make that the focal point of the campaign, a la what happened in 2022 and Carrie Lake, you know, that was her theme, and she barely lost. I mean, that's the thing that I remind folks. I don't think Andy Biggs is going to be saying that I don't want McCain supporters. He's not going to be saying that people that have had an abortion should be charged with a Class 1 felony. I mean, so that's going to be the difference. I think Andy's going to be a much more disciplined campaigner. But all of those things you talk about, the Hobbs campaign certainly is going to make that the focal point.
Well, he's got a record is the big problem. He you know, in addition to what Dennis mentioned, he voted against the 9/11 Responders Act. He voted against releasing the Epstein files. So he might be able to try to rhetorically contort himself, which, you know, is the only path forward for him. But he still has that record, and it's not a great mainstream record.
And I want to ask you, too, there was some reporting on heading into the election that there were some more progressive candidates who were challenging more moderate Democrats in these primaries. How did that turn out?
I mean, mixed bag. I think you look at one of the most hotly contested races down in southern Arizona, LD20, was Alma Hernandez against a Democratic socialist aligned candidate, Rocky Perez. And you see the vote total. He's only down by 644 votes, and she raised almost $200,000, had another $80,000 in support. He raised $37,000. So the DSA aligned progressive grassroots support really made a big dent there. You also saw some other DSA candidates winning. But there's also some unintended consequences there. It looks like Stephanie Stahl-Hamilton is on her way to defeat because they had two candidates where they were trying to unseat Consuelo Hernandez. And instead of unseating Consuelo, who, again, works her tail off, as all the Hernandi do, and raises really well, she was the top vote getter easily. And the second candidate is actually going to unseat Stephanie Stahl-Hamilton, not Consuelo, which is a huge loss for the Democratic caucus. She's one of the more effective legislators we've got, a great negotiator, and she's going to be sorely missed. So up and down day for DSA. Up here in Maricopa County, Lauren Kuby obviously cruised to victory as well. You know, that was a more of a left-wing candidate beating the centrists aligned Nardozzi, but a mixed bag. I think the problem with DSA candidates is when they go after an incumbent, there needs to be some money in addition to grassroots activism. You need to run some independent expenditure against those candidates, and we didn't see that.
Okay, I want to, in this segment, I want to wrap with taking a look at the two primaries in CD1. Now, this is a very important swing district. It's one of the few swing districts, not only just in Arizona, there's two swing districts here. It's 1 in 6, but in the country, really, when you start looking at it, there's going to be a whole lot of money in the general election. We'll get to that. But what's going on here? Feely easily won in his primary against Joseph Chaplik. What happened here?
Well, I'm not sure it was easy. Chaplik came after him pretty hard and was surprisingly raised a lot of money to get himself in the airwaves and to close the gap. Because Feely, remember, was recruited to come run in this district. He was originally going to run where Mark Lamb ran. Got recruited into District 1 because they thought he'd be the best candidate, and I personally think he probably is. But it is going to be ground zero. I mean, you're going to see Congressional District 1 and 6 down in southern Arizona. That might be the ball game for what happens with the House of Representatives nationally.
And over on the Democratic side, Amish Shaw won again despite the DCCC backing his opponent. How did he do it?
He knocked on every door several times. He said in a social media tweet, he said, I've had like 25,000 conversations with Democratic primary voters. Guess what his win number was? That exact number. I mean, that is knocking on every single door. And that guy is a machine. He is well liked by his constituents. He goes and has a conversation with every one of them at the door, and that is really tough to replicate or to beat.
All right, we're going to take a quick break right now, but up next we'll take a look at the state races in the fall, including the battle for the governor's office when Politics Unplugged continues. Results. It's time to break down those matchups in the statewide races, and we've brought the panel back, keeping them back here, keeping them here for the entire show. And let's talk a little bit about the top of the ticket here. Let's talk about the governor's race. You got Governor Katie Hobbs, the incumbent, running unopposed. She'll be facing Andy Biggs. How do you see this one playing out? What are the issues going to be? 310,000 more Republicans than Democrats in the state, so nothing's a sure thing. But obviously, Andy Biggs is from the Kari Lake wing of the party, so this is the matchup I think Democrats preferred for sure. And I think that it's going to be interesting to watch Biggs try to move to the right with such a track record, such a voting record of just the opposite. So I think obviously all the talking heads in the national rankings all have it leaning Democratic. I think that's probably right, but it's far from a foregone conclusion. How is Andy Biggs going to overcome? There's a big money difference at this point. I mean, Governor Hobbs immediately after the race was called for Biggs was up with ads, attack ads. Biggs does not have the money to go on with really statewide national TV buys at this point. How's he overcome this?
Well, they're going to have to run a very disciplined campaign. I mean, and it's been done before. I mean, a lot of folks that are starting behind are going to need to be focused on the issues that are not going to turn off a lot of the voters. He needs to talk about the economy. He needs to talk about immigration and the way Republicans have traditionally captured that topic. But if they go into this a Lake-esque type of campaign where they start to talk about election denial, they start talking about things that people don't care about, then they would definitely be in trouble. But this is going to be a tight race for the reasons you talked about. Those 310,000 Republicans, if the biggest campaign is able to, entice them to come out and make this an agenda, if you will, on Arizona's direction for the next 4 years, it's going to be tight.
I do have a quick follow-up on that because you were talking about election denialism. If he keeps talking about it, he's not wanting to talk about it, but he was asked the other day on radio, like the day after, 2 days after he wins the nomination, he asked if Kari Lake was the legitimate winner in 2022. It's a yes-no answer. He gave a 45-second answer where he acknowledged that she's the governor, but never said she legitimately win. Is this the kind of stuff you're talking about?
I saw I saw your story on that, and it was a 45-second word salad for sure. But to answer your question, he should have said, yes, she won. She's the governor. And then it would have been a story. But when you continue to do things like that, that's the kind of thing that's going to get him in trouble.
And he's known that he's going to win this primary for months, so he should have been ready to answer that question in a way that made it seem like he wasn't a lunatic. And he is still, he can't help himself. So as disciplined as that campaign is going to try to be, at the end of the day, if your guy is that far to the right and has gained everything he has in politics by being that far-right ideologue, he may not think he needs to personally change that much.
The thing that's going to be interesting, though, and I've heard this from some of the Hobbs administration folks, they're talking about not debating again. And for those reasons, then why wouldn't she want to debate him and get out in front?
Yeah, I was just going to ask about to bring up the debate stuff, because I know one of the issues a couple of the issues that Biggs is going to go after the governor on is like she is currently under investigation by the Attorney General. The Attorney General has been wanting to sit down with her and interview her about this alleged pay-to-play scheme with a donor. She's not sat down with the AG yet on this. Plus, the governor has hinted and given every indication that she's not going to debate for the second election cycle in a row. Are these things could expose some vulnerabilities for her?
I mean, it's tough for somebody who is so tied to Donald Trump to talk about the pay-to-play issue and actually be taken seriously. I mean, your guy is the king of all grifters, and he is the biggest supporter of your campaign, and you're talking about going after the Hobbs administration for this thing. Certainly, I think the debate is going to be a big topic of conversation, but those are the pieces that they have to attack her on. They can't attack her on her track record, which has been pretty exemplary. They can't attack her on being too far to the left because she has worked with Republicans, frankly, more than Republicans have wanted to work with the other side of the aisle, with Democrats and the governor. So I think if those are the issues that they are trying to win on, they're gonna lose. Those are not voting issues for most voters.
Last question on this. I mean, before we move on to some other races, I mean, does she owe the public a debate?
I think so. When you're the governor of a state. Now, the difference with Carrie Lake was that Carrie Lake was saying some things that were just absolutely outlandish. Let's be honest about that. But you're talking about whether you disagree with him or not. Andy Biggs has got a strong record in Arizona politics. He's been Senate president. He's been in Congress for a long time. I think having two people having a good conversation about their vision of the state is very appropriate.
Okay.
I think Biggs should be careful what he wishes for. Somebody who voted against expanding access, who voted against, who voted to throw people off of Medicaid, who voted against releasing
but then have a debate and have those conversations.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying he should be careful what he wishes for. Maybe she will agree to a debate and he'll get his clock cleaned.
And I also kind of wonder, though, too, whether the expectation bar has been raised so low with Andy Biggs. It kind of reminds me of 20-some years ago with George Bush, where everybody thought he couldn't put a cogent sentence together.
And he didn't do poorly in his debates in the primary. He didn't do poorly either. So, I mean, Biggs is a skilled debater for sure. So
let's talk a little bit now. I want to talk about the Attorney General's race. You've got the Senate President Warren Peterson. He won his primary over Rodney Glassman, the perennial candidate. He's running a lot of races. How do you see this playing out with Chris Mays and Warren Peterson? Because again, in the context, she won by what? A landslide 4 years ago, 280 votes.
I know. Well, the thing that's going to be her Achilles heel, and I think Chris Mays is a very skilled and talented politician. I mean, she's been in politics for a long time. She's been on the other side. She was in the evil media for a long time. So she knows how to communicate. She knows how to get a point across.
And she was a Republican for a long time.
And she was a Republican. But her Achilles heel, I think, is going to be some of the decisions that she's made that has antagonized the business community in Arizona. And that's been one of the things that Peterson has been really pushing on. So that's going to be, you're going to see Peterson really go after her, saying she's anti-economic growth, anti-business. And I think she's going to have to come up with a way to counter that. But she's skilled, and I think she will.
Yeah, and so what does Mays have to do? You've brought up the voter registration disparity there. It has gotten larger over the past 4 years. And remember, again, 4 years ago, she won by the narrowest of narrow margins. A lot of people think that she's got the hardest job to do this time around.
She does have a very difficult job to do, but I don't think that necessarily means that it's going to be an extremely difficult election for her. The biggest thing that they've been hitting her on is suing the Trump administration. Donald Trump's numbers in Arizona have tanked. They could not be any worse. So if they want to attack the Attorney General because she sues the Trump administration too often, also she almost always wins those lawsuits, I think that's a poor choice. If they want to go after her for trying to hold the business community accountable at a day and age when most voters think that the business community is hurting them, not helping them, good luck with that. I think you're going to need a stronger set of issues to run against Chris Mays on than those.
Okay, we're going to have to take another quick break, but when we return, the races for Congress, including Jay Feely versus Amish Shah, when Politics Unplugged continues. And to get more in-depth on the issues, check out the Politics Unplugged podcast this week. I'm joined by consultant Chuck Coughlin. The Politics Unplugged podcast drops every Sunday evening wherever you get your podcasts. And let's bring the panel back in. Thanks for sticking around, doing some extra duty here today, all three segments. So thank you very much. Let's talk about this matchup in CD1. Again, one of the more pivotal races, congressional races in Arizona, if not the country here. True swing district. You've got Amish Shah, the Democrat. He's been the nominee now the second time in a row. And you've got Jay Feely, former Arizona Cardinal field goal kicker. What do you see this race being about?
Well, it's interesting because, less than a week ago, the DCCC was saying that this guy is almost a MAGA, and now no, we were just kidding. He's really ours. We love him. He's going to be a great congressman. The Republicans have to do a better job, I think, in making sure that Feely, it goes back to what we've been saying. If they stake out a turning point-esque type of a campaign like they did in the primaries, they're not going to be successful. And these kinds of races, and it's CD1, but also CD6, both Republicans are going to need to talk about the things that really affect people and stay away from, as much as possible, and they may not be able to, but stay away from the Trump influence, because that's going to come into play.
Yeah, and how awkward is this? The DCCC, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, spent big money against Amish Shah on this. I mean, what was that phone call like the next day? We're like, D-Trips are coming out. It's like, hey, buddy, we were just kidding, you know?
Whoopsie daisy. Here's the thing, though, about it. All kidding aside, they spent, between the D-Trip and other independent expenditures, there were millions spent talking about how Amish Shah is a Republican. And so now he walks into the general election where you're trying to court Republicans and you're trying to look as bipartisan as you can. And frankly, that's who Amish is. He's a pretty bipartisan guy. He's got a legislative track record that says that. I don't think those D-Trip ads are going to hurt nearly as much as people think they did when you're trying to moderate yourself more for the middle. So they weren't personally attacking him. They didn't bring up any old, bad text messages or anything. It was just about his voting record, really. So I don't think that actually hurt him as much as people are considering. I think this is fascinating. You've got 2 New York Jets, and one of them is guaranteed to have a victory. I mean, that's something.
And I got to ask you too. I know incumbents have they have a big advantage and whatnot, but in some ways, is Jay Feely a better candidate for this district than David Schweikert? Because Jay Feely is somebody he's more personable, he's more comfortable in front of. He had a broadcast career after football. Does he fit the district pretty well? Well,
I would say that he's a much better candidate than anybody else that ran in this primary. I mean, he's the best candidate the Republicans could field, no doubt. I would disagree a little bit on Amish Shah. The reason why the DCCC came after him is they saw the polling data. They said, look, he's not the best candidate for us. Marlene Garland would have been the best candidate. And I think if she would have won, then I think it would have been very difficult for the Republicans to hold on to this seat. But having said that, it's still going to be a tight race. There's still going to be a lot of factors that come into play, but Feely is absolutely the best candidate.
Is he going to be able to overcome if Trump's polling numbers stay where they are right now? Is Feely going to be able to overcome it? Because that is a real issue in midterm elections.
There's no doubt about it. I think the 2 congressional races and even the governor's race, I think those are the ones that are going to be impacted the most about the Trump effect. And that's why, again, I go back to saying the way these candidates run for office is going to be important in how they message it. Certainly the Democrats are just going to be pounding them on those issues.
I want to be clear about this, too. I don't think the polling showed that Amish was a worse candidate. I think Amish doesn't like to do call time. He doesn't like to raise the money that these campaigns often come down to. I think that was the biggest difference, and they didn't have a great experience working with him last time. I think the polling actually shows that he is as formidable as Marlene would have been in the one-on-one matchup, and we'll find out.
And let's talk about the other swing district in Congress here in Arizona, CD6. You've got Juan Ciscomani, the incumbent there, and you've got former Marine Corps drill instructor Joanna Mendoza. How do you see this race playing out?
It's going to be tough. Again, I don't shill for the Republicans. I just really want to lay out the...
Well, this is a legit swing district. It goes back and forth for years.
And this candidate, Mendoza, is probably the best candidate they've got. I mean, she's not... They're going to try and paint her as more of a Grijalva type of candidate for that district, but she's not. And so that's going to be the reason why I think it's going to be very tight. Juan's going to really have to raise a lot of money to hold on to that seat because right now, for that particular race, the winds are blowing against her.
Yeah, and does Juan Ciscomani have a harder job because he's got to defend this record with Trump in a time where you start seeing Trump's polling numbers not doing very well, particularly with independents?
It's about the link to Trump, but also he is one of the more skilled members of the Republican caucus at distancing himself from Trump, except the voting record doesn't quite measure the rhetoric. So when he votes to kick off over 100,000 of his constituents off of, Medicaid, for instance, when he continually votes against their interests, that's the voting record that they're going to weaponize against him. And I think it's going to be tough for him to overcome that.
All right, we're going to have to end it right there. That is all the time we have. Be sure to join us next week for more Politics Unplugged. Good night.